Today I'm reacting to your wrestling hot takes. And yeah, there's gonna be quite a few hot takes about The Rock's heel turn and him joining the Bloodline. I do these videos once a week to give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts about the world of professional wrestling. So if you want to be part of next week's hot takes video, make sure that you're following me on X. The link will be in the description of this video. I ask for your hot takes on there every single Thursday or Friday. And for the trillionth time, I'm always going to ignore your hot take if all you say is blank is overrated. Come on, be original or give me some reasons why. Otherwise, I'm just always gonna ignore those lazy hot takes. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications if you're a wrestling fan, and I know that you are. I don't lie, I know that you are. You're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we upload daily wrestling content. Let's read some stupid shit. The more that I think about it, the more I think that there is a possibility that The Rock is a double agent. He turns on Roman at Mania, setting up Roman Rock for WrestleMania 41. This right here is the hot button topic amongst wrestling fans right now. Is The Rock a double agent? Is he aligned with Cody Rhodes? Is he about to betray Roman Reigns? Why did The Rock throw up an L instead of a 1 when they were doing the whole bloodline salute thing? Why did The Rock point at Roman Reigns when he was saying that he was going to make sure he walks out of WrestleMania a loser? There's a lot of hints that are happening that are making us all believe that The Rock is a double agent. However, this is all speculation, but that's good. We should be speculating. We should know what's going to happen. I like the fact that they're giving us these breadcrumbs, and maybe they're intentional breadcrumbs or not intentional breadcrumbs, but all I like is the fact that we're talking about this and that we don't really know where it's going to go. In terms of where I think it could go, I think we could get a world where The Rock does turn on Roman Reigns, but maybe in a different way, not aligning with Cody Rhodes, but in a way where he's trying to steal the bloodline from Roman Reigns, thus giving us a Rock versus Roman Reigns WrestleMania 41, with the roles reversed that we were expecting, with Roman as the babyface and The Rock as the heel. I could see a world where that happens. The Rock will cost Roman Reigns his championship at WrestleMania and will take over the bloodline and make Roman Reigns turn babyface. Literally what I just said, but I'm gonna use this as a jumping off point to say that I think this is pretty much the only way that you can turn Roman Reigns back into a babyface. I don't see another path as to how we can get there, because Roman Reigns was just such a good heel, such a good final boss, such a top of the mountain gatekeeper that there was no way to turn him babyface in a realistic, credible way. But now that somebody that is above him in the family pecking order, somebody that is more of a high chief than he is a tribal chief, I think The Rock is that foil for Roman Reigns to warrant a face turn for Roman, I should say, and having The Rock be the heel, have The Rock be the final boss for Roman Reigns to be able to conquer, to really cement Roman Reigns. Not that necessarily he needs the cementing, but to cement Roman Reigns as the top guy in the company, because he is. The Rock's promo wasn't mid. He was basically introducing his character to the world, and he is a long gamer. I've been seeing a lot about this, that, that the jokes, the fat jokes, the dumb jokes, the redneck jokes don't work in 2024, that they worked back in 2003. I don't know. I disagree, but I also understand that I have a little bit of rose tinted glasses, and I do have a lot of nostalgia for that 2003 version of the Hollywood Rock. So anytime I see any inklings of that version of The Rock, I'm gonna pop. And to each his own. If you don't like those jokes, if you don't like that type of humor, I get it. It might not necessarily be for you, but I don't think that the jokes, even if they didn't land with you, make this promo mid, because I think it just had a very simple single layer purpose. I think a lot of people were expecting The Rock to dive into some deep rooted bloodline family lore to expand this narrative. I think it just needed to be one thing. I'm The Rock, I'm now a bad guy, and I'm in the bloodline. And I think it did all of those things. People saying so-and-so is buried because they lost the main event or a title match are cringe and don't know how wrestling works at all. I wouldn't necessarily call them cringe. Come on, let's be a little bit civilized. But I do think that people throw the word buried around way too easily. Oh, Cody Rhodes lost in the main event of WrestleMania 39. He's buried, ignoring the fact that he just main evented WrestleMania. Oh, so, like you said, Rey Mysterio just lost the title to a YouTuber, Logan Paul. They buried Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is a freaking Hall of Famer already. He's gonna be fine. I do believe that people throw that notion of being buried a lot. And I think Another reason why people throw that a lot is because they believe that the only measure of success in the WWE as a performer, as a character, is to win titles. But to me, like, if they're getting lots of TV time, they're doing just fine. I will say that there is such a thing as like character burial, and I can give you like some pretty good examples. I think you can say that Cody Rhodes was buried when they turned him into Stardust. They completely buried the original Cody Rhodes gimmick that he had in favor of this significantly worse one. But like real burials, like go look at like Muhammad Hassan back in 2005. Like that's a real burial. Sami Zayn has fallen off. He reached his peak in 2020 with the Intercontinental title, and that was it. He's not fun to watch and his promos are boring. I'd be more inclined to hear your argument if you were saying that he fell off after the Bloodline storyline, but to say that the peak of Sami Zayn was his Intercontinental title run, I think this is wildly off. I liked his Intercontinental title run, and I liked the stuff that he ended up doing with the crew of Jackass. To me, that was one of my favorite matches at WrestleMania 38. However, the peak of Sami Zayn was definitely the main event night one of WrestleMania in the story with the Bloodline. That's when he was the most entertaining. That's when he was the most over. That's when most of us were calling for him to perhaps win the title at Elimination Chamber before Roman Reigns could walk into WrestleMania 39 as the champion. That's how over he was. Like, the people were okay with Sami Zayn dethroning the historic championship reign of Roman Reigns. That's when you know that he was at his peak. But I would say that there is a fair argument to be made that Sami Zayn has definitely fallen off. But I think that they're doing a pretty good job of slowly building him up once again as this underdog darling, just in a different light, less comedic, more of a humble rebuilding sort of say. I think he's going to end up being a world champion at some point this year. I think it's going to be with the Money in the Bank briefcase. R-Truth was the biggest return at Survivor Series, and he's proving it every week. Look, I obviously don't agree with this, but let's also point out the fact that between Randy Orton, CM Punk, and R-Truth, I think R-Truth has gotten the most screen time and the most, I guess, narrative-based storylines in a proper story arc, because CM Punk came back instantly injured, doesn't really count. Randy Orton came back and he's instantly thrown into a story where he's only 25% of its characters, with the Fatal 4-Way of Roman, AJ Styles, LA Knight, and of course himself. Meanwhile, R-Truth has kind of been the protagonist of this quasi-main event like story, because it does involve the Judgment Day, a main event caliber faction. So I think R-Truth has been the best utilized so far, just kind of given the circumstances. R-Truth should dethrone Gunther. No, but R-Truth should dethrone Damian Priest and Finn Balor as tag team champions. I would love to see a world where R-Truth and The Miz conquer the evil Judgment Day and take the titles away from them, and then somehow split the titles, split the damn titles. Maybe R-Truth forgets that he's supposed to have both titles and leaves one set of the titles behind. I don't know, that's stupid, but split the titles, okay? Just do it already. Fellas, cold turkey may be good on sandwiches, but it's not the best way to break a bad habit. There are better ways to break bad habits that don't involve some Papa Shango-like voodoo magic. And we're talking about our sponsor for today, Fume, which looks at the problem in a different way. Not everything from a bad habit is necessarily bad, so instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change to your lifestyle, why not just remove the bad from the habit? Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that helps with just that. Instead of it being electronic, Fume is all natural. Instead of using vapor, Fume just uses flavored air. And for me, most importantly, instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It gives you a guilt-free way to be able to enjoy your habit while removing all of the bad aspects of it. Your Fume also comes with an adjustable air dial and is designed with movable magnetic parts so that you can fidget around as you're trying to de-stress as you break this bad habit. I've been lucky enough to try about 5 different flavors, but my go-to is definitely the crisp mint, but I'm also a mint guy. I like mint. I also really like the orange vanilla, but there's options for all of your different flavor palettes. Stopping is something that a lot of us have put off because it's hard, but with Fume, it makes it easy and really enjoyable. Fume has already served over 150,000 different customers, and there's thousands of success stories, and there's no reason why the next one can't be you. So join Fume by accelerating humanity's breakup from these nasty habits by getting your journey pack today. Head to tryfume.com/Mr. Santi's app or scan the QR code on screen and use the code Mr. Santi's app to get 10% off at checkout for your journey pack. Again, that's tryfume.com and use code MrSantiZap to get 10% off your order today. Thank you to Fume for sponsoring us today, and let's get you back into the video. Similar to how the UFC inducts fights into the Hall of Fame, I think it would be cool if the WWE started inducting matches into the Hall of Fame. And while we're on the topic, WWE needs to build a physical Hall of Fame that fans can visit. Yeah, I guess it'd be kind of cool if in Stamford, Connecticut, or wherever it is that WWE headquarters are at, if they built a WWE Hall of Fame. Sure, I'm sure it would get some visitors, whatever. But I like your other idea way more. I love the idea of inducting matches into the Hall of Fame. I think that is actually absolutely brilliant, because there are matches that we consistently come back to and refer to in some sort of light as incredibly important to the world of professional wrestling, either because they are incredibly good matches, either because of the stakes that were involved, or the overall historical significance. Like, for example, if we're looking at historical significance, we could look at something like Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan, right? The passing of the torch to Hulk Hogan. If we're looking at great matches, we can look at The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25 or 26. If we want to look at like huge blockbuster matches, The Rock, John Cena. There's a lot of different ways that you can categorize really valuable and important matches to the history of professional wrestling. I would love that. With Braun Breaker now officially on SmackDown, I can see him becoming US champion by the end of the year. I think WWE is looking to make him the next Brock Lesnar and give him a rookie year to remember. I think so too. In fact, I feel like we could be in line for potentially two different versions of a 2002 Brock Lesnar like rookie year in both Braun Breaker as well as maybe Tiffany Stratton and or Jade Cargill. I think Jade Cargill is more the favorite to do that. But if we're talking about Braun Breaker, I think that you're right. I think that they're going to catapult him to superstardom right off the get-go. They already treated him as such, as making him look to be the hottest free agent available. They did not give Andrade or Naomi anywhere near this much limelight. The only two that have gotten this limelight in terms of like, this is a coveted free agent that we're trying to win over, is Jade Cargill and Braun Breaker, which is why I threw their names in terms of potentially having huge rookie years. I could see a world where Braun Breaker, call me crazy, wins the Royal Rumble, maybe wins a Money in the Bank briefcase instead. I could see him being the one to dethrone Gunther or dethrone Logan Paul. I could see him winning tag gold with Baron Corbin on the main roster. I believe that there's limitless options in terms of how you can truly crown Braun Breaker as your star rookie of 2024. I think he's due to have a massive rookie year, the likes that we haven't seen since perhaps Sheamus in 2009-ish, 2010. Right now, AEW has been having a really good comeback. Right now, they haven't been using blood as much, and the wrestling was just all around pretty good. You know what? If that's the case, then I'm gonna leave AEW alone. Here's the thing, I just seem to be bad luck. Anytime that I decide okay, Santi, let's watch AEW for an extended period of time. Let's give AEW a couple of months. It ends up being terrible. And I've always been told, hey, no, it was so much better before you started watching. And then I start watching and then it becomes bad. And then I stop watching and then it becomes good. And then I come back because I hear it's good and then it ends up being bad again. So if AEW is in a good swing right now, I might just leave it alone so that I don't ruin it for the rest of you guys, because I'm apparently just bad juju for AEW. I don't mind a Dominic Mysterio World Heavyweight title run soon. I think he's ready for that. I don't think he's quite ready like just yet, but again, this is a young man in his 20s. He still has so much time left in his career. I don't think that we need to pull the trigger this quickly on an early career World Heavyweight title reign. I think we can do this when he's in his early or mid 30s, so long as he continues to have this great run that he's having. On top of that, I don't think that WWE right now, in terms of how champions have been booked, is ready for that type of champion, the snively champion that gets away, you know, by the skin of his ball sack. Because he's not going to be a dominant champion. He's going to be a champion that wins by technicalities, cheating. I know Roman Reigns wins by cheating all the time, but there's no doubt of his ability to win it by himself, which is why we get so frustrated when he always has to win by cheating. Dominic Mysterio will be a different beast. Everything that he does will have to be politicking. It'll have to be technicalities. It'll have to be cheating. Funnily enough, we're kind of seeing it with Logan Paul. So maybe we are slowly starting to get ready for that kind of champion at the top echelon of professional wrestling. we're seeing it with the mid-card titles. I think it'll just be a while till we can see it with the main belts. The Final Testament will be one of the most dominant factions in the whole of wrestling within the next year. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think you have a lot more faith in the Final Testament than I do. I am entirely pessimistic, mostly because WWE hasn't given me a reason to be optimistic about Karrion Kross in terms of the way that they book him. In terms of AOP, okay, I'm a little bit more optimistic there because WWE has done a pretty good job historically of booking them as really powerful monsters. Triple H did it in NXT. Triple H is now the one in charge of head of creative on the main roster. So, you know, there's optimism there. But with Karrion Kross, I'm nothing but pessimistic. We'll see. But I do like Paul Ellering in the way that he just stares deeply into the camera. I truly believe Roman will retain at WrestleMania now. It seems now that the bloodline is stronger than ever. They have to keep this story going. So this is where I'm going to disagree with you. I do believe that the bloodline is strong and there's a lot of story to tell there. But I think now we're at the point where the bloodline story has evolved in a way where it actually doesn't really need the titles anymore. I think that a narrative between The Rock and Roman Reigns is more than enough to tell a story that we are all going to care about, even if it doesn't involve the titles. The titles could be off of Roman, on Cody Rhodes, being, you know, defended on a full-time basis on house shows and on Raw, SmackDown, whatever it might be. And I still think that you can tell a really deep in battle between Roman and The Rock that doesn't involve the titles. So I don't think that Roman is going to retain at WrestleMania, even though I agree with you that there's a lot of story left to tell with the bloodline. I just don't think that the story left to tell needs the title. If Cody somehow doesn't dethrone Roman, Seth should be the one to do it. I mean, sure, I guess I don't necessarily hate this, mostly because I just know that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns have just impeccable chemistry with one another. We saw it in their feud in 2022. We saw it at the WrestleMania kickoff press conference, and we've seen it all throughout their entire career. They just always put on great television, and it's kind of crazy that both of these guys have been at the top of their game in the WWE. They've been the undisputed 1-2 of WWE for quite a while now, and the WWE has kept them apart for so long and refuses to just allow them to have these deeper feuds that last more than one PLE, like the one in 2022. I would love for them to revisit Roman versus Seth Rollins at some point or another. Most importantly, I would love for it to be a WrestleMania headlining type match. Dijak should be the first to get a shot at the NXT title once the Trick Mello Dragunov story is finished. Super underrated in the ring, and his promo work since returning to NXT has been fantastic. I think Dijak is just like the best kept secret in NXT, and he's slowly starting to go from best kept secret to best known asset that NXT has. He is consistently putting on the best matches of the night, whether it's on free television or on PLE. There's a reason why people refer to him as Mr. PLE when it comes to those NXT shows, and he's always just delivering interesting, even different, or just really good storylines when it comes to backstage segments, promos. The stuff that he's doing with Joe Gacy is so bananas, but I'm here for it. He has just demonstrated to be such a great all-around worker. I can't wait to see him on the main roster. I know a lot of people are concerned about Dijak for some reason going to the main roster because he's in his past 35. I mean, to me, that doesn't really seem to be an impactful reason to not use him to his full potential in the main roster, considering Damian Priest, kind of in the same boat. He moved up to the main roster at an older age. He wasn't, a spry young 20-something-year-old chicken. And look at Damian Priest. He's a senior Mr. Money in the Bank. That's redundant. He's a Mr. Money in the Bank. And I think that they could do big things with Dijak with how good he is. They need to stop changing the theme songs of people who leave then come back. It's so annoying. Or even when they get to the main roster, leave the song alone unless they're garbage. I'm kind of with you, man. Especially with what they've done to poor Carlito's entrance theme. It went from arguably like an incredibly iconic, super memorable entrance theme song with the "I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool," Carlito, all to this like kind of just like generic Caribbean music. It's just not memorable. I know I'm still on the fence about Naomi's entrance theme change. I really like the "I'm amazing." Look, I'm not a music producer. This is why I have a terrible voice. But still, look, I'm kind of with you. If the song ain't broken, don't change it. CM Punk is actually a better talker than Rock in current day. I know I'm going to be in the minority on that, but hear me out. Rock, for the most part, is a catchphrase machine. He just recycles the same lines, Punk's had catchphrases, but he doesn't overuse them. He just feels more genuine. Look, to me, it is like a tie at the top of the mountain when it comes to the best mic workers. I think the holy trinity is CM Punk, The Rock, and John Cena. If I'm being honest with you, like if it comes to a promo battle between all of them, I think CM Punk might be the best one, but I think the most consistently good mic worker is John Cena. But of course, the greatest trash talker of all time is The Rock. So it really depends like what you're looking for, but I think you can't really go wrong with picking either one of those three as, you know, your undisputed best mic worker. I think it's between those three. If this is the ride that The Rock is going to take my candy ass on, then I'm excited. I'm a Cody Crybaby, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested to see where this goes. Yeah, there's like this like faction online that believes that if you were a Cody Crybaby, then you can't be happy that The Rock is now, you know, like an on-screen heel or whatever. No, that wasn't the point of being a Cody Crybaby. I was a Cody Crybaby. There's a good chance a lot of you were Cody Crybabies, and we were just being Cody Crybabies because we wanted to see Cody get to not necessarily finish his story, but like get his WrestleMania main event part 2 against Roman Reigns, because that's the story that we were going towards. Just because I wanted Cody in the main event of WrestleMania doesn't mean I don't want The Rock giving me whatever he is giving me right now. I'm also in for the ride. I am a Cody Crybaby, but yeah, I'm also a huge fan of The Rock. He's like one of my favorites of all time. I can like both. The 17th world title win only belongs to John Cena. If WWE changed it trying to slap that story onto Orton or Charlotte, that is unfairly taking away what rightfully belongs to the C Nation and Make-A-Wish kids, on which I myself am one of them, who John Cena means everything to. I mean, you probably have the best possible reason to want John Cena to be that guy. You know, as a Make-A-Wish kid yourself, I get it. I'm not going to try and argue your reasons why. Cena is one of my favorites of all time, so I totally get where you're coming from. I still believe it should be Orton, primarily because Orton is the guy that stayed there for his entire career. Meanwhile, John Cena didn't. And as much as I do love John Cena, as much as I wish John Cena had have been the one to break Ric Flair's record, I feel like that Ric Flair record needs to go away. We need to find somebody now, especially with WWE rewriting the record books as much as they have been over the last couple of years. Let's get rid of that old record. Let's bring on somebody, whether it's Orton, Cena, I'd be happy for both of them. Not Charlotte, not Charlotte, not Charlotte. Orton or Cena. Right now, I'm just leaning more towards Orton because he's the guy that's always been there. I'm calling it. Sasha Banks will be the equalizer for Bayley at Mania. Dude, come on. She's going to AEW. They're literally creating an entire free PLE in Boss 10, all right, for the debut of her. It's very obviously the debut of Mercedes Moné in AEW. Maybe in 2 years, maybe she signed a 2-year contract. Maybe we talk about that again in a few years. But right now, she belongs to AEW, and I think that we should just let this dream die in WWE for a couple of years. The Bloodline is the greatest faction of all time. The way the group is constantly changing and keeping itself relevant after 4 to 5 years is pretty insane. It started off small with just Roman, Paul, and Jay, and now they have the freaking Rock. Before the Rock, honestly, during the height of the Bloodline storyline going into WrestleMania 39 and the Royal Rumble 2023, I already thought that the Bloodline was the greatest faction of all time. I mean, they have the most dominant tag team of all time in the Usos. They had the greatest manager of all time in Paul Heyman. They had the greatest champion of the modern era in Roman Reigns. That was enough. I mean, adding The Rock to the Bloodline obviously helps the legacy and the name of the Bloodline, but to me, it's like when Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors. Sorry, Europeans that don't follow basketball, but like it's overkill. I already thought it was the greatest faction of all time. All right, folks, that's the video. I'm done for today. Let me know down in the comments if you have any hot takes, but that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.